we understand the feminine dynamic that we have in our bodies, that we have in our souls, we can then start connecting to it and producing a magnetic energy, a magnetic presence in our lives and in our relationships that brings so much passion, beauty. I wanted to share with you something that has been so foundational in my relationship, in my marriage. I married the love of my life, and I've happily married for 7 years now. And over the past 7 years, I have come to understand that there are 5 things that have really created a foundation for a healthy relationship. And those have not come without challenges. We have had so many challenges and we've overcome so many things in our marriage. And I want to share those with you. I want to share the pillars that have gotten us through these things. It starts with you, and you inspire your partner to be loving and be connected to you when you are in a place of being connected to yourself. So, the first pillar is valuing yourself. When you value yourself, then your partner feels and can see the confidence in you and therefore want to pursue you with more passion, with more zest, and is more attracted to you. There are 3 things about valuing yourself that are very important that I want you to understand. The first one is not seeking validation from your partner. This can be a turnoff for many people, and it comes from a place of lack. If this works in a relationship, it is usually because the relationship is a codependent relationship. The other thing is taking care of your emotional and physical well being. This is very important, and I will probably make a separate video on this because I feel like over the past 7 years, the one thing that I've stayed committed to is taking care of my skin, is taking care of my body, is taking care of my emotional well being. When I'm doing those things, I am the best version of myself, and my partner can see that. And the other thing about valuing yourself is building passions and goals outside of the relationship. When you do this, you're not so focused on what can you take from the relationship, because it's coming from, when you're not doing that, you're coming from a place of fullness when you are pursuing things outside of the relationship. And this is very healthy for a dynamic relationship. And going back to emotional well being, over the last 7 years, I have always felt that I can express my needs and express my emotions, but a lot of times I do that in a very unhealthy way. I would do it in a desperate, needy way, and it did not produce results that I was looking for. It just caused a lot of anxiety and sometimes arguments in the relationship that were just not necessary. When I started to develop my feminine energy and take a step away from what I needed from my partner and met myself where I was, felt my emotions fully, saw myself, saw my hurts, saw my wounds, and was able to heal those and understand them, I was then able to bring those to my partner in a healthy way, and therefore then he was able to see them fully, understand them fully, and meet my needs in that way that I needed him to in the relationship. It's very common, especially for women, to lose yourself in the relationship because you want to appease the other person. But this can be very unattractive to a man. If you are trying to appease them, they're going to feel like they can't be the provider, the hero that they want to be for you. So you have to give them a place of a little bit of uncomfortability where they can step into their strength, where they can overcome an obstacle and reach in and save you from what it is that you're struggling with. But they have to know how to do that. So that comes with understanding yourself. When you fully see yourself, then you can be fully seen by somebody else and therefore feel very fulfilled in that way. For me, prioritizing my needs and my passions and my boundaries has created a foundation for a deeply loving and balanced relationship. A lot of people turn away from the word boundaries because they think that you're putting up a wall in between you and the other person, but this is not true. Boundaries just keep out the negative energy that you don't want to experience, to say, this is not what I want to experience, and if this happens, then there are consequences to me experiencing that. And boundaries can be easily communicated and respected. They just have to be clear. To value yourself, Here's how you begin. Spend time doing what you love. Communicate with your partner in grace and understanding. Remember that your worth is not tied to what other people think of you or the validation that they give to you. When you do this, you create a space for love that uplifts and inspires the other person to love you. Okay, so pillar number 2 is trust your desires. I've always felt as though our desires are there for a reason. God placed them in our hearts to guide us to what is meant for us. And when we align to that, we are in God's will. When we align to the desires that we have in our heart, we're aligning to our purpose. And we have to understand these desires. And how we do that is by taking time to hear ourselves. Again, it's taking that time to be seen and heard by ourselves. Often women suppress their desires because they don't want to be deemed as too much. This is the biggest wound of the feminine. I've talked about this in a previous video. If we feel like we are too much, we're going to suppress the very power that we have to give to the world and especially to our intimate relationships. When we are too much, we are everything. This is who we are supposed to be. We are supposed to be vibrant and emotional. There was actually a study done where when men are in the presence of a woman's tears, there's a hormonal trigger in him to want to take care of and provide. And I've seen this happen so many times in my relationship where once I start crying, it just like flips a switch in my husband and he just wants to like drop everything to take care of me and help me through whatever is going on. I know this is not true for a lot of men, but it is an instinct that they have. And when we understand this, we can step into our fullness and not be fearful that who we are and our desires are too much, that we have to suppress who we are. For example, when I have a desire to be loved in a certain way, like taken out on dates regularly, or to be spoken to in a certain way, or not be touched in public in a certain way, but be touched at home in a certain way, when I communicate these things to him, I am expressing my desires. Again, take that time alone by yourself to identify what is it that are your true desires and how can your partner meet those for you. The next thing about trusting your desires is release any fear or guilt around these desires. Again, understanding that we have these desires for a reason. They've been placed in your heart to guide you to your purpose. So trust that and know that you're not being selfish. When you have something that is divinely guided, you're being guided to a far greater purpose than just for yourself. You're being guided to further your family in love and abundance. You're being guided to further the world in healing and light and creativity and love and beauty. You have so much power within you. And then lastly, about trusting your desires is you want to frame them in a way that your partner, your husband, they can understand them. Many times I have felt an ick feeling about my desires because one, I felt guilty about them, and two, I didn't know if it would be something that would connect with him, if it would be something that he would be okay going along with. But the thing is, all this time, he wanted me to be happy. He wanted me to be fulfilled. And he wanted to provide a space and an emotional safety to express these desires. He just wanted to make sure that I was okay in the process of doing these things because sometimes I would pursue things that I really enjoyed, but it would cause me anxiety or it would cause me extra stress. And then there would be stress on the family. So, when we can bring to him a full understanding of our desires and say, hey, I want to start a YouTube channel. I don't know how this is going to look, but I want you to support me in this. Can you please show me what is it that would make you feel better about me pursuing my desires in this way? Because I know that you want me to be happy, but I also know that you want me to be safe and provided for. So, how can we work on this together? You see how that changes things instead of, well, I want to do this. Why can't you respect that? It changes the energy of it because it comes from a place of understanding that they are good and that they have every intention of loving you. It just takes a little bit of clarity for them to be able to do that properly. All right, so pillar number 3 is transform, not force. I learned this when I first found out about feminine energy, and it's so easy. It's the feminine is not forceful whatsoever. It's like a river, it just flows. And when we try to walk upstream, we are going against the current, and it's harder to do that. When we go with the flow of the river, it's so much easier, right? It's easy to go downstream. You don't have to do anything. Therefore, forcing someone to change or deeply needing them to change just breeds resistance. It works against you and not for you. But on the other hand, transformation, it starts within and it inspires the other person. When I started to connect to my feminine energy, I cannot explain to you the change, the power that this energy has. It is magnetic, it is transformative. When I started to connect to my feminine energy, my husband not only started to fall deeply in love with me, but he wanted to do everything that would make me happy. He wanted to change, he wanted to develop himself, he wanted to do what was right for me because this energy just inspires the masculine. It inspires a provider man. So focus on embodying the qualities that you want to change in your partner. If there's something that you feel like they need to change in, what is it that you have not changed about yourself? And then once you start to truly and authentically embody that change, then it will just inspire him to want to do that. You won't have to say a word. The 4th pillar is stand by your boundaries. This is going back to pillar number 1 about valuing yourself. I did mention boundaries in there, but this is very important. It is a foundational thing in a relationship, a healthy relationship. When you have boundaries in place, then the other person knows what to expect, doesn't cross lines as long as they are striving to love you in a way that is truly authentic. To define what is the non-negotiables for yourself, maybe write them down so they're very crystal clear, because when you don't have clear boundaries, it can cause a lot of tension and a lot of resentment within yourself because you expect them to meet these boundaries, but they're not because they're not clear enough. And then practice saying no with love. When hello. Not a good time to shower. No. Doing well there? Yes, I'm almost done. Okay, sounds good. Love you. So practice saying no with love. And the third thing about boundaries is addressing pushback calmly but firmly. All right, so the 5 pillar is love fiercely. A healthy relationship thrives on unconditional love. When we're expecting another person to meet our needs and we hold out on them, our love, then it's never going to produce good results for either party because we all fail. We all mess up. And so when we take that time, when we put in that effort to love the other person, despite what they've done, despite what they haven't done, and just be there for them, loving them unconditionally, it's going to be a powerhouse for you. I found this for myself when I just put aside my triggers, my frustrations, my needs, and I just loved him unconditionally. I put myself in a place of saying, you know what, he doesn't deserve to be loved right now. But I'm going to love him because I know it's the right thing to do because I love him. And I know that as a result, it's going to produce love no matter what. That's what matters in life in general is love. We come from the Creator who is the source of love. And if we want to have all the abundance that is surrounding us, then we need to connect and be like the Creator who is love. So commit to showing love even when it's hard. Be present and appreciate the small things with gratitude. Balance fierce love with self respect. And something that's so important for us women to know when it comes to loving fiercely is we have to feel safe in order to give this kind of love. If we don't feel safe, then it's kind of impossible for us to feel that way. So, whether that's coming from a place of you feeling safe within yourself or developing that safety within the relationship, but just knowing that if you don't feel safe in the relationship, there's something that needs to be changed or fixed, whether it's that you're not with the right person or that there are things and conversations that need to be had to create this safety. To me, loving fiercely in a relationship is giving everything with no exceptions. This is a very vulnerable place to be. And if you do not feel safe in the relationship, then it's going to be nearly impossible to do that. Um, we've had to develop that safety over the years because of things that have happened in our past. And ultimately, I had to come to a place within myself where I felt safe, that everything that's happening is perfect just as it is. A lot of times, the fear that we have of feeling unsafe is an illusion. And when we can come to a place of meeting our inner child and making her feel seen and heard and valued for who she is, knowing that her hurts and our pains are true and genuine, then we can create that space and that safety within ourselves and therefore bring it to our relationship. The balance of giving love freely and maintaining self respect can be challenging, but it's in setting those boundaries that creates this easy flow for yourself and for the relationship. Having those hard conversations of knowing what is it that's okay and what's not okay with each other and where are the lines, knowing clearly where these lines cannot be crossed. So, in summary, the 5 pillars are: value yourself, trust your desires, transform instead of force, stand by your boundaries, and love fiercely. Try applying one pillar today and observe what shifts in your relationship. And I'm curious to know which pillar resonated with you the most. It probably wasn't the boundaries one, but maybe it is. Let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a blessed day.